Here's a quick rundown of how I like to winterize SeaDoo Spark. We have a pair of 2023 Spark Trixx here, and start by stabilizing the fuel.
I'm not going to change the oil. SeaDoo says to change it once a year. I like to do mine in the spring. You can do it now if you want. And SeaDoo says that you don't need antifreeze and you can just blow air through the exhaust, but personally, I'd much rather have antifreeze in the water box instead of water. The only real difference between a Spark and any other 4-stroke jet ski is that on a Spark, the deck needs to come off so you can access the spark plugs. There's really nothing crazy about it. You just need some basic tools, not even a lot. We're dealing with T30 screws, a whole heck of a lot of them. We'll need a 6-inch locking extension with a spark plug socket, ratchet, electric ratchet. Obviously we'll need a T30 bit, 10mm socket. That one I'm going to use to get the battery terminals off, and that one I'm going to use for the nuts. If you're not used to using electric wrenches on a job like this, you could get yourself into some trouble, especially inside the engine compartment. We got the screws that hold the ignition coils on. Those will strip out pretty easy.
The ones for the front hatch are a little deeper, a little harder to get to, so you need one that's a little longer. So we got on each side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These all have a nut.
Oh, you bastard.
I saw that drop like that. Got it. Now under this silly little footstep, I believe there's more. Alright, so 4 more. And then this puppy, that's gotta get out of there. So many stupid little screws, dude. It's crazy. Why? This one is longer. I think because it has to go through this and all the way down. So the one by the Spark logo, longer. So there's 5 up front, 5 on either side. There's 15, 20, 25, 26, 27. 27 screws, and then 3 where the gas cap is. 30 little stupid little screws I gotta take off. Just to fog a motor. What the hell? The hell? Getting antifreeze into a jet ski motor, if you've ever tried, can be a pain in the ass. I came up with this little pump system. I just took a regular pump sprayer, like chemical sprayer you find at Home Depot. I think mine was made by Roundup. Cut the end off, put a hose attachment on there. That allows me to pump antifreeze, and then with that same pump, it actually pumps air through after, so you're getting the best of both worlds. With a cheap tool, you know, probably costs like 30 bucks. So I want to run these things on antifreeze, and then I'm going to pull the spark plugs out, and we're going to fog the motor, hit everything down with anti-corrosive, and basically that's it. And then we'll wrap it all back up. Typically I'd burn off the old fogging oil on the spring and then swap out the spark plugs. But because these things are such a pain in the butt to get the deck off, On the sparks, I'll put the new spark plugs in now so we don't have to go through this whole rigmarole in the spring. Let me show you that pump. Here's the antifreeze pump. Like I said, it's just a chemical sprayer. Then I cut the end off, put a whip of hose, clear hose so I can see the antifreeze when it runs out. Quick fittings on the end. I like the plastic ones because then you don't cross thread them. I've seen a lot of people run into trouble while taking metal hose ends or fittings and then screwing up the plastic fitting that's in the hull. So use the plastic ones, they work good. And then, you know, like if you got a Yamaha, you could put a Yamaha attachment on it. I even hook this up to my outdoor shower and I blow antifreeze through my shower so I don't have to take it in the winter. This thing works like a charm. And for each machine, I use about a half a gallon. I get this stuff from West Marine Pro. Ends up costing me the same price as it would at retail for the generic stuff. For fogging the motor, I want to get the spark plugs out. On a Sea-Doo, most jet skis typically have some kind of spark arrestor in the intake, so it's not like an old two-stroke where you're spraying fogging oil through the intake. You're just going to clog stuff up if you try to do it with a modern four-stroke. The motor, we got a bunch of T30 screws that we need to take out. 3 for each ignition coil. We got 1 for the cam sensor, and then there's 2 that hold the injectors in. I like to spray in where the ejectors are, and that gets a coat of fogging oil on the backside of the intake valves. Five seconds down each hole, turn the motor, 5 more seconds, and then I'm going to put the new spark plugs in, and then button it all back up. Pretty straightforward, pretty basic. I also like to put a little, oh Jesus, dielectric grease on the spark plug boots. This will help keep any water from getting down those tubes. Putting a strap on the battery helps out a lot when you're trying to carry them. These things can be kind of a pain to carry. I just take the same strapping I use for shrink wrap, throw a couple loops around it, and it makes it so much easier to put in, pull out. Alright, I'm telling you, it's the way to do it. SeaDoo used to put a strap on all the Vortex when they first came out, and they had this like big fat webbing, nice handle. They stopped doing that, so I started making my own. Oh, and for the battery, you don't need to leave it on a trickle charger all winter. In my experience, that it just ends up boiling them off, cooking the battery. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to label it with the client's name, I'm going to put it on the load tester, and then I'll give it a full charge, stick it on a shelf, and then halfway through the winter I go through all my clients' batteries that I maintain, test them, charge them, stick them back on the shelf. And the last thing I want to do is go inside the engine bay and spray everything down with some CRC 656 anti-corrosive. I wouldn't worry, I haven't seen any ill effects on spraying this on the rubber, but I'll just douse everything with this and then go back with the rag and get the extra off anything that's rubber or plastic.